end it, so to speak, so top and tailor. The name of the company is HHHIC, which stands for Hey Hollywood I Come. We take actors from all over Europe, all over the world, everywhere apart from the States, and also Canada and South America at the moment, to Hollywood LA. And we put them in front of agents, cast directors and managers. We go in front of between 25 to 30 agents, cast directors and managers. We say that because it's literally that. They're primarily agents, so 2/3 agents, let's say 5 or 6 cast directors, 3 or 4 managers. They tend to have more managers in America now more than they do here. My area of expertise is solely about Hollywood, and what we do is that if you really want to go forward, you need to get an agent. It's as simple as that. Screenwriters, pretty much everybody in Hollywood has an agent, and if they don't have an agent, then they're not in the game, as they say. It's much easier to get an agent in Hollywood than people think, and one of the reasons is because a lot of people think you can't do it. So that makes it easier. That's one of the reasons. Second reason is there's about 300,000 actors in Los Angeles. It's literally an acting town. That's one of their big industries. But I mean, we don't do Americans, but we have had Americans in the past. And my experience is about 90% of them are not properly prepared. They don't have their own monologues, often they don't have their own headshot. Many actors, even in the non-Americans, don't actually have their, so to speak, their type. So the agents always use the expression, you have to know who you are, you have to be yourself, and all this. People don't quite get it. For instance, if I wanted to be an actor, I'm not an actor, but I saw myself as the next James Bond, it's quite possible, but the chances are that I'm not going to be picked as the next James Bond. Yeah? We've had Asian people who've gone, be a terrorist. Americans understand that. No, I'm a Shakespearean actor. Well, good luck with that. So you have to know your type. Okay? And once you know your type, it's much easier to get the role. I'll give a very quick story. Brad Pitt used to go to, they call it, have the cast in front of everybody. And he never knew his type. He's a very attractive guy, but he was trying to be like a pretty boy, was the expression that's often used, until he found out who he is. That's when he started to get the roles. So if you look at Brad Pitt's roles, he tends to be a bit quirky. One of the people we work with has done a lot of work with Johnny Depp. It used to be said Johnny didn't do kissing scenes. I looked at this thing called the Taurus Esther, and I did actually see him kiss a woman as an ordinary guy, but normally he's going to be a zombie, or he's going to be like Edward Scissorhands. He's known not to be a kisser. And the person who used to write the scripts for him was told, don't write kissing scenes for Johnny. Johnny Depp understood who he was. I'm not saying he doesn't kiss women in real life, I'm saying he didn't do it well on film. So you have to know who you are. So we put actors, want to be actors in front of agents, and because you're seeing so many agents, you have a very good chance to get picked up. So for instance, we typically have between 33% and 65% is the most of anybody on the trips who've actually got callbacks from agents. A callback means they want to see you again. When you get a callback, it doesn't mean that the agent will definitely take you on their books, but it means they're interested. If they call you back, they're generally interested. These guys are extremely busy. I'll give you an example of something that people can do wrong, because it's still possible to screw up when you get a callback. They have a headshot of you, they've taken it to their team, they remember you from this 2-minute monologue in a particular way. So some people say, oh, I didn't look my best when I auditioned for them, they go and dye their hair. When the agent sees them 2 months later, they think, who the hell is this? They're looking at this headshot, this person with dyed hair, they can't remember who this person was. You don't get picked up by the agent. Or the agent says, I see you in these type of roles. But the actor sees themselves, no, I see myself as a major villain. And the agent says, no, I see you in comedy roles. No, I see myself as a villain. Great, you're not going to get picked up by the agent. Okay? So the trick is to get the agent and then have the squabble, rather than squabble and have all the I'm this, I'm that, before the agent picks you up. The other thing is, talent is incredibly important. It's not the most important thing. What agents talk about is marketability. That means, can I make money from you? They actually make money, these guys. They just do it. That's their job. But equally, they kind of don't work with actors they don't like. Why is that? It takes 2, 3, 4, 5 years for somebody to really become a star. If they don't like working with this person, it's not worth that time. And none of them know who's going to be a star. It doesn't matter how talented the person is, you can't tell. So we've taken 400 actors and put them in front of agents. I've seen thousands of actors. I have no idea sometimes who's going to get multiple callbacks. The most callbacks we've had on a trip is 9. We had a girl from Liverpool who I think was a pole dancer part-time, wasn't a proper actress. She got 9 pole backs, it's one of the highest amount. And when I saw her before, I couldn't tell that she was going to get that many. Sometimes I can kind of guess, but it's not all that easy. And the agents can't tell, they've been doing this job for years. So I'm going to kind of close in 2.5 seconds really and let you ask questions, because I know I haven't gone through the whole thing, but I'll summarise it by saying we put actors in front of agents, the idea being to pick up an agent, and that's the first step of moving up the ladder in Hollywood. Are there any questions, please?
Can I ask,
Sure.
just talk us through the process of, say, once to come to you and say this is something I want to do, what's the process entail?
Okay. What we do is we call it electronic auditioning. So what happened is, because we have people from all over the place and they can't come and see us, so people would typically go to our website, they contact us. There's something, it's actually automatic really, that goes out saying we'll contact you in a few days. We then go out and we'll answer a resume and a headshot. And the headshot simply doesn't have to look great because we have photographers there who do that. And resume, some people have acted, some people haven't. To be honest, we don't really care that much unless you're a horror story, because most people are not going to go now. They might go in a year's time, could go in even 2 years' time. So if you want to do it, that's one of the first things. And if you're not weird, we've had a few people, had one guy, half of his face is tattooed, and he was really strange. And you're not going to go into a group situation like that because it's a group trip. So we're trying to eliminate people who clearly they're not going to work in a group. And we have a few people who really can't act. So your resume and headshots you do, we ask you some other questions. Typically, some people eliminate themselves, but if you get through the whole screen process, there are 3 trips that you can, 3 packages we call we can do. The package is a silver package where you go to Stella Adler and you see the agents. Stella Adler, if you don't know, is a very famous acting school. They introduced method acting into the States. You go there, you do a day's acting. They're incredibly good. I'm not an actor, but everybody who goes as an actor says how great they are. And they will hone your monologue. You do the monologues before you get there, but they will say, look this way, look that way, breathe in this way. What were you thinking before you said that line? And that stuff. And all the actors say very valuable it is. And Stella Adler is also famous because they, for instance, Marlon Brando trained there, Robert De Niro trained there, and they're off Hollywood Boulevard. So it's steeped in acting. You know, and they're one of the centers of method acting in Los Angeles and therefore the world. I should say the other thing we do, we put you in front of the top people. So the photographer we use is a top photographer. It's taken everybody, summarised Angelina Jolie, Morgan Freeman, Tyson, Billy Crystal, Charlize Theron, so on. So you just use top people, and that makes our life easy, and that's better for you. So you go to Stella Adler, you have your headshot taken by a top photographer, which is why we're not that bothered about the headshot. And you then go in front of these, there's also some other things there as well. You get to see an immigration specialist, there's some other talks. And then you go in front of the agents. That's on one day, we bring the agents, it's on to you, and it's done in 3 sessions, about 10 agents in each session. And at the end of each session, we're in a room a bit, maybe this size, and there'll be all the agents along there. You come in, you give them your headshot, and then you do your 2-minute monologue. And then if they speak to you, you answer, if not, you simply leave. But after they've seen all of the actors, they come back in and have a question and answer session with the agents, which is incredibly good. Because, for instance, there's people talking about horror. When we started this 7, 8 years ago, horror was in, as they say in Hollywood. Now horror is not in, it's comedy. So that's an example of how the mood changes. In the last 4 or 5 years, what's in Hollywood, Asian actors. So if you look at most of the new sitcoms, they have an Asian in there. And that happened after Slumdog Millionaire. They all wanted Asians. So I went one time with an Asian girl, I was an actress, can you act? Because they, that's how they work. If something makes money, everybody copies it. So it's in 3 sessions, and that means if you, and we found that's the best way. Sometimes people don't do well on the first session, they do better on the second session, or better on the third. You can't tell from the agent's expression if they like it. That's our experience. And then after that, there's Sunday there's a day off, and the Monday people leave. So it's very intense. You're only in with these groups for 2 minutes at times. That's 3 lots of 2 minutes. But in my experience, the actors find that very emotional. And the other reason for the question and answer session is to get the I use the expression, get it from the horse's mouth, it's gone in Hollywood, but also it's part of showing your personality. Because you're only seeing them for 2 minutes, and if they like you, which they're not going to say necessarily because the other agents are rivals with them, but they'll get a vibe from that person. Can I work with this person? It's all parts of helping them to see if they like you. So that's also what we do as well. So that's kind of a quick potted version of it, but that's in general what happens. You get your headshot taken, go to one of the best acting schools in the world, the guy does your headshot, and by the way, the guy does a headshot, it's a beautiful house in the Hollywood Hills, so you feel like Hollywood, it's dripping Hollywood. His dog is Nicolas Cage's ex-dog. Up there is William Shatner on the hill, and it's a beautiful veranda. It's like a veranda's like this and a half long, about 50-foot veranda, and about this deep. And there's always sunshine. Every time I've been, there's always sunshine. It's just Hollywood. And he himself hasn't got any kids. He's got these 2 dogs. He loves these dogs like they're kids. So, you know, that's Hollywood. So you're dripping Hollywood. And the other thing I found actually is to be successful anywhere, but I'm just talking about the actors that we know, just going there and having that experience helps to make you successful. So I can't completely explain it other than it seems to build confidence, and sometimes by people having a vision of where they want to go, that helps you. Because truly, I've seen some people when they've done the audition, they're pretty dreadful. You see them 6 months later and it's like, oh wow, what's going on? And it's just this kind of metamorphosis, so they've evolved and grown as an actor. And that's, again, we try and get feedback, and that's the kind of thing we would say. Any other questions, please?
Realistically speaking, in terms of immigration, what are the chances for relatively new, up-and-coming actors getting to the US?
To get to the US to do what? To get the...
To like, stay there, obviously.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. This is one of the big myths. Don't take it out of the room, but it's very easy to get working papers in the States, okay? I had a girl who signed up for the course, and then she got back to me the next week and said, it's virtually impossible to get working papers. Sometimes people say green card. That is difficult to get a green card, but working papers are very easy. But she said it's virtually impossible to get working papers in the States. So how do you solve that? And I thought, okay, working papers, well, that's not green card. I thought it was because sometimes people listen to their friends. My experience, they know zip, so don't listen to anybody who they don't know what they're talking about, unfortunately. So I said, okay, where did you find this information from? I think it'd be one of her mates or some foolishness on the internet. She went to the American Embassy. Now, if you go to the American Embassy and ask them to get working papers, you have to be Einstein. In their staff, you're brilliant, unless you've got this, No. We have very ordinary people get working papers. It's a function of a good immigration specialist lawyer, which we bring, and money. Simple as that. It costs between $4,500, $5,000, $7,000. That's what it costs for the people we use. So it's money and it's a good lawyer. Okay? The American Embassy is not going to say you can let people in like that because the actors union will get pissed off. No, that's not their job. But in real life, that's how it works. I imagine if I wanted to come into the UK, it's probably similar. And obviously, I'm not an immigration lawyer, but unless you've generally got a proper criminal record, all this jazz, you've murdered a few people.
So there's working papers. So for how long can you stay there?
Well, I'm going to stress again, I'm not a specialist, but I know you have to renew them because I believe it's something like you might do it and you get it for 3 years and then you have to renew it, 3 years and you have to renew it. So you have to renew it. But to get it, I won't use expression tricks, they're legal methods, but they know how to do it, that's their job, So they know how to get around it. And I say we've got 400 people who've gone, not all of them go to the States. I find sometimes people they get a call back, they're very happy, but the people who want to go there have gone there. There's nobody who's really come and said, look, I wanted to go, no, that's not right. You have some people who go there, we say, use an immigration lawyer, we give you 1 hour free with this immigration lawyer. These guys are typically $300 an hour, so it's a 1 hour free thing. And then if you want to use that person, because you've gone on our trip, they will reduce their rates for the next stages. And then people, very cleverly, after that, don't use them sometimes, go and speak to their friends, and then turn around hospitals. There's nothing you can do. I don't know how to say. So from my point of view, it's frustrating when it happens, I understand why people do it. They want to save money, and sometimes their friends tell them they know these things. And obviously, if they haven't, we used to say, speak to professionals, and then you kind of step back and realise, well, it's not that easy for people to speak to professionals, so you can't be that critical. So in that respect, we're trying to step that side of things up. But generally, and I don't mean it in a horrible way, because no one is trying to do it maliciously, but normally the friend does know what they're talking about. Because that's not their, that's not their profession, that's not their job. I'll give you the example of the person who was the best case of something. This best we've had, people all ages, but we had a guy who was 50, he was from some Eastern European country, I can't remember, Slovenia maybe some of this time. He could not speak English well, but he was very polite. And some of the agents are what they call commercial agents, which means you can be photographic agent, you can do adverts, which often is the way that people get in first. It's harder to do the theatrical stuff. And Los Angeles is TV and film. They're not into plays so much. They don't do Shakespeare, don't do Chekhov. We've had somebody do Chekhov, these guys are like, what the hell is that? It doesn't work. So, that's not their thing. So this guy anyway, he couldn't speak English well, so there was a plan that he had, or that the agency had. There was one agency wanted to pick him up to do, to be, it's like a model, he did not do it for 50. The other reason I remember this guy, he came in what we call, we have 3 packages, he came in a platinum package, very polite guy, very pleasant, and on his skills, because we do a CV, and on his skills, one of the skills was, and I saw a whole group of these agents, especially the women, looking at, what's this guy written? And on his skills he put, I know how to give pleasure to a woman. And I thought, well, fair enough. And I asked him because, I thought he was joking. I said, hey man, a couple of guys, I said, hey man, what's this? I thought he was going to say, yeah, it's a joke. Yes! He was very serious. Okay, cool, I'll be back on. So maybe he did. But anyway, this one agency picked him up. And then what happened was, we tell people these guys are very busy, and we explain what you do. You don't pest them, you do this. It's like a format thing. Dear, fill in the name. Boom, 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 boom. So we laid the whole thing out. And after this one agency was interested. After 6 weeks, the guy came back and said, you guys said this agency are interested in me. They're not interested in me. What's going on, man? Is this a scam? I said, look, we don't know what's going on. What's happened? This agency, they've written me, they're not interested. Okay, have you written them? Yes, okay. I said, okay, send us all of the emails. Now, we say, write one email in 4 weeks. All you need to say is, I'm working on my working papers. They know this is a function because we organised it. Back in 6 months or even a year, they're not bothered. One email in the 4 weeks is what he should have done. When we got this stuff back, there were about 10 emails. And this guy, like from the second day, bam with emails. And he also said the agency had response to which he had 10 not to do, 1 in 10. Everything that we'd said do, he'd done it opposite. And but we know these people, so we kind of explained. And this woman had a business partner, and they had a program, and they sent one of the emails saying, this is what we're going to do, which was a big thing for them to write the whole half a page, because these people are busy. But anyway, come on, so we should be screwed it up. So we said, look, I'll tell you what, and we explained the problem. Give us some time, sort the working papers up, and in 6 months we'll approach them and say, it's one of those things if you've got blah, 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 and we'll see if we can, and we spoke to them and they were okay with it. Ignored that again, another 4, that's after we'd agreed. So he messed it up. So, but the reason I'm saying all of this is A, that I find it funny because he changed completely from this really nice, polite guy. I won't even go on what he said, people in my village are saying I'm going to be a star, and it just went nuts, went to his head. So he changed from that into this something else. And we were still able to salvage it, and then it's like he wanted to sabotage himself again. And still the agency were going to work with him, and eventually they had to just say we can't work with him. That's when he's getting back in touch with us. It's very, very possible to get an agent because they don't have many foreign actors. They have lots and lots and lots and lots of Americans, and very few, relatively speaking, foreign actors in Hollywood. And if you look in Hollywood films, they like foreign actors. So nowadays, if they, for instance, want a Russian or an Eastern European, they don't use an American. They prefer to go and actually get a Russian to do the Russian lines, because I suppose, well, one of the agencies explained it this way, because the internet world is smaller, and I suppose people know accents better. And even if you're FBI, they tend to go and get proper FBI type documentation rather than just any foolishness. It tends to be very authentic. So that's the direction that Hollywood is going in. They call it being authentic. So it's very doable, I'll say that. I can't guarantee it, but we have a very high rate of callbacks. And again, we have very small groups. Some of the agencies, you can see agents there. We're going with 20 people. One of these agencies on our first trip said, you guys know how lucky you are. In the last 2 days, I've seen 400 actors. So it's 200 the next day. The human beings, they get tired. So after they've seen the first 20, 30, their eyes are starting to glaze over. You know, with us, it's like 20 people, it's like almost like a, and they love foreign accents. It's like a joke to them almost. Oh, this is nice, and they like our trips because of that. So, anyway, I don't want to go on too long, but I hope that answers the thing. It's very doable. You need to use specialists. And by the way, not every immigration lawyer is as good as every other immigration lawyer. It's like anything. We've gone through a lot of lawyers to arrive at where we've arrived at. Because we've used about 5 or 6, and some of them weren't any good. That's the truth. But the people we use, it's doable. Because, you know, they're not so good. That's otherwise it's not happening. And they're cheaper than... I had somebody quote me once for working papers. These are rich people, mind you, so somebody's trying to take it for a ride. This guy said it's going to cost me $1 million to get... I said, what? And I knew his girlfriend, and I said, no, we can do it for this time. I said, it's going to cost the two of you for $14,000, I guarantee you, for the two of you. She said, oh, no, I've been told it's $1 million. So you can hear any story. This is some American lawyers she's talked to. So obviously, the lawyers thought they got money, not a lot of sense. I'm going to take their money away from them. And the guy could afford it, but he obviously didn't do it. But he was a bit worried. Wanted to, his girlfriend wanted to go to the States, but $1 million is very expensive. So it's not that kind of price. But it's like anything else, you can get very bad information, even from people in the States. This is what we do. So I'm an expert in this one area, okay? This is what we do.
What if I'm not an actor? I'm a film editor. You need an agent, get me an agent.
Sure. Okay, if you're a film editor, I would still recommend you try and get an agent. Several reasons. Some of the people agents are not actors, some of them are. But even some of, I mean, an example uses Quentin Tarantino as an example. That he he also tried to be an actor for years, it's not great. He wrote his own stuff, and then he got himself into films that way. So even as a film editor, you could, for instance, band with a number of people and get into films. Some of the agencies specialise not only in actors, but in other parts of acting. A lot of this thing is getting your foot in the door. So it's almost like a referral thing. So you could, for instance, I'm just saying, you could not be really interested in acting, but you get in, an agent's interested in you, and then you say, look, my main interest is such and such. These guys are interested in making money. If you're good at what you do, you know, you want to research and see. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know film editing style agencies, but certainly they have some who specialise in screenwriting. They have some who specialise in models, pretty much everything, presentation and so on. Some who have many different departments. So generally speaking, it's best to get an agent for pretty much anything. The reason being they get 10%, and a lot of Hollywood works on referrals. That's the truth. Okay? I was saying to somebody before, you've got this stuff, this headline stuff. In real life, it's referrals. It's like, imagine if it's your job. Isn't it easy for you if you knew somebody recommends so and so? And there's so many actors to choose from. It's really hard to know. So they go with referrals. So if you get an agent, and then even if you're not happy with the agency, but you and the agent get along, not much. Say, look, why don't you try it? Try what? Because maybe in 10 years or 15 years you're head of the studio, and they've helped you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So try and get an agent is normally the best route. It's not the only route, but even I would say even in your position, I would try and get an agent, but I would do other things as well. Because even when you have an agent, you still often have to do work. But an agent, they are pretty good, really. They are pretty good. And it's well over 90% of people who use them, so, you know, and it makes you seem more serious as well. So even if you're, for instance, the agency is not doing that massive amount, you've got with X agency, it's better than I'm on my own. Yeah, okay. Come back with an agent. That's kind of, they don't say that to you, by the way, but that's what's in their mind. Because there's 300,000 actors, that's an agency interested in you, that means you're at that level where someone's interested in you. That's a shorthand for me to say you're good. Otherwise, how on earth do I know if you're good or not? You know, that just tells me you're good, because you've got an agent. That's kind of Yeah? It's a bit like
But I have to approach an agent as a screenwriter or an actor.
you could do it either way. If, for instance, you are good enough at acting to get an agent as an actor, I would do that. Okay? But if it is that you're an actor, see, this is how I do it. I'll do a monologue where in my monologue I'm a screenwriter. Because that would bring on this, why are you doing this? And then you can say, oh, well, really, one of the interests is, I'm interested in screenwriting. What do I see? As I said, we've had like people and models who, like from East School, can't speak any English. We still say do a monologue. Because the monologue isn't really for them to place, they're not casting directors or agents. Agencies are interested in the type of person. All the monologue though is trying to show your personality. And it's one of the easiest ways to show personality in this 2-minute monologue. That's why a lot of actors don't realise how important the monologue is to the agent. It's like the first thing that they're going with. And the other thing it tells them, have you taken the time to work out who you are? I know it's very cliche, but really it does mean something. Have you taken the time to work out who you are? That's what, if you come with a good monologue, that's what that tells me. You've really thought about who you are. Now that doesn't mean that as an agent, I can't sit down with you for a couple of hours, well, this is what I've been doing all my life, and give you a kind of a vibe as to what you should do. But why am I going to do that? I've got hundreds of other people to choose from. You don't want to do that. I'm not going to use the expression they're lazy. They say they're lazy. They're not lazy, they work hard. So they want you to have done the work. So if you're a screenwriter, think of a creative bit and say, I wrote this. Where did that monologue come from? I wrote this. All right. Yeah? We know a very good screenwriter. We know a guy, for instance, who was the showrunner for Johnny Depp, the showrunner for 2 seasons. And then he wasn't, as I say, started off as an actor, but he was better as a showrunner. And what he says about some of the very good actors is that they sometimes write their own bits, if you like. And if you think of some of these actors who've made their career on like 1 or 2 or 3 lines. I mean, look at Arnie in Terminator. I'll be back. That's his career. Make my day. That's his career. You know, sometimes they don't even speak. Sometimes it's just a glance, but they spend a lot of time in the mirror looking at that glance. So when they do that, that glance looks serious. You might try to do enough, but they've been in the mirror doing that a lot of time to make sure they know. And some of them, if you look, they know what side works for them. You look at Puff Daddy, he always has pictures taken on one side. Because he knows what side of his face. I know again it's cliche, but these guys know what their face is. So you need to know yourself. So even though you need to show the person, and they're like, oh, I get it. Because I'm engaging with you, but when you're big, I'm going to get 10%. So I want to know you doing work. And the way I know you've done work is if you've done that preparation before, that tells me this is a serious person. Because you can't tell from just talented people. So we do auditions, but we do them not as many because we have this digital stuff. But when